recorded live at 4ZZZ Studios, Meanjin, Brisbane.
On 102.1 FM.
And broadcast across Australia on the Community Radio Network.
You're listening to Z Games.
Z Games brings you the best in gaming news, reviews, community and culture. Want to reach out?
Share your hot take?
Or do you just want to share your favourite game?
Find us on socials at ZEDGamesAU.
Hey, it's Z Games here on 4ZZZ. I'm Maylee and I'm here with
Zahra
And the one and only Peter. Because there's no other Peters. Yep.
Yeah.
No Parkers, no others.
None.
Peter, Zahra and Maylee on
That
Z
we are.
Games.
Very musical. We should have a musical day.
We should, yeah.
Yes.
But
I love
today,
that.
I don't think
Not
today
today.
is the musical day.
Today is not music day. Musical.
Well, sorry, Maylee. We're taking the steering wheel away from you. I'll give it back. Here you go.
How are you both today?
I'm good. I'm super excited for tonight. I've got a review, so I'm pretty keen to share that.
I am-
I'm keen for your review.
So impressed with your focus right now. How are you doing that?
For listeners, because you can't see what is happening, I'm crocheting as we are.
They just kept going.
I know.
Well, I'm not really thinking about it. But you know what I am thinking about? I'm thinking about video game news.
Yes.
Reviews, all that kind of stuff.
Yes, there has been some news.
Yeah.
Some more of the same and some of the new.
Some viral. Some viral.
Yes.
Yes.
Maybe we should dive into it, let the listeners in on what we're talking about. And
What's been happening, what's been going on, and what's coming up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go.
This week in gaming news, more layoffs hit developers, Nintendo announcements, and the week in published tech science headlines. But first, layoffs. More of them. The trend continues with more layoffs and studio closures hitting game developers this week. Deck 9, the developer of Life is Strange Before the Storm and Life is Strange True Colors, have laid off 20% of its staff due to worsening market conditions. Cloud Imperium Games, developer of Star Citizen currently in alpha, also reporting undergoing mass layoffs under the banner of relocating to its new UK office. Disruptive Games, the team behind bringing Diablo 2 to Battle.net and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 to everything, has laid off an undisclosed number of staff, even after advertising for new staff only a month ago via LinkedIn. Thunderful Games, creators of the SteamWorld games and the more recent Planet of Lana, and others, have announced a restructuring program with a 20% cutback in staff, over 100 people. Supermassive Games, developers of the Dark Pictures anthology, announced layoffs with 150 at-risk employees lined up for the chopping block. Indie developers Die Gut Fabrik, makers of Saltsea Chronicles, have made the hard choice to close their doors. Electronic Arts is also restructuring, putting about 670 people, or around 5% of its workforce, on notice. EA CEO Andrew Wilson stated this is due to the company's move away from licensed intellectual property. And finally, Sony Interactive Entertainment CEO Jim Ryan has penned a letter to the company and a media release announcing that 8%, or around 900 employees, will be laid off. This includes all the London studio and some of the Firesprite studio, effectively cancelling the Twisted Metal live service game in development, as well as others around the world. But hey, at least you might be able to get to use that PSVR 2 with your PC later this year. Nintendo announcements. This week's Pokemon Direct in honour of Pokemon Day started soft with several basic updates and events planned over a range of Android and iOS Pokemon games. Then came the two big announcements. Firstly, Pokemon Trading Card Game is getting an Android and iOS update under the original name Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket. Pocket is being developed by DNA, makers of Fire Emblem Heroes, Pokemon Masters, Animal Crossing Pocket Game and many others, and features trading, card pack opening and dueling. But it manages to maintain the most important part of the franchise, exclusive foils, which will now be reproduced and expanded upon as immersive visual effects. And second, the next Pokemon game has been tentatively announced with a teaser displaying little to no visuals and only exposing few details. Those being the place name, Lumoy City in Kalos of X and Y fame, the game's name, Pokemon Legends, Z to A, the game's power system, Mega Evolutions, and a tentative release year, 2025. Interestingly, the same release year as the Switch 2. In other news, Tropic Haze LLC, the developer of Switch emulator Yuzu, is being sued by Nintendo. though. The company is claiming that Tropic Haze facilitates piracy at a colossal scale and is thus secondarily liable for the infringement committed by the users. And now for some
industry, science and technology.
In TikTok viral science, Doom can now be played on cellular technology. And by that I don't mean the apps on your phone, rather a 32 by 48 pixel display lit up by fluorescent Escherichia coli cells. The display was developed by MIT biotech PhD student Lauren Wren Ramlan, inspired by the numerical displays of Shin et al. 2020. The cells were introduced with plasmid BBA K38930028, which responded to stimuli to essentially display fluorescence. Utilising this on-off difference, Wren was able to create a very simple 1-bit black off or white on display. However, the frame rate is lacking, with it taking 70 minutes to display a frame and 8 hours and 20 minutes to go back to its resting state, making the 5-hour game last approximately just under 600 years. On the other hand, the big boy in storage science has been designed by Professor Minggu from the University of Shanghai for Science and Technology. The technology packs 100 layers of data in 54 nanometers on a DVD-sized disc, effectively replacing a 2-meter stack of Blu-rays with a single disc that can fit up to a petabit or 125,000 gigabytes of data. The 3D writing system uses dye-doped photoresist with aggregation-induced emission luminogens with nanoparticle-style resolution lasers on an optical disc, which essentially allows the possibility of stacking the technology into an exobit level data storage facilities. Now for some upcoming games. Tuesday, March 5th brings us the Outlast Trials and WWE 2K24, both coming to PC, PlayStation and Xbox. And on Thursday, March 7th, As Dusk Falls comes to PlayStation, and Snufkin, Melody of Moomin Valley comes to PC, Switch and both next-gen consoles. And that's all this week in gaming news.
Ooh, you just got news.
Dang. Thanks for that, Toby.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't really understand all the words in that last bit there with the...
What's not to understand about aggregation-induced emission luminogens with nanoparticle scale resolution lasers on the optical disc?
I mean, really, it is child's play.
Yeah.
But, I can't read, so... it's also the first time I think I've seen the word petabit.
Yeah, I skipped over that. I don't know what that is.
I wasn't paying attention in ICT then, I think. But does this mean that we can go back to having a whole game on a disc?
It is possible.
Could we just like...
Maybe not Call of Duty because it's over 100 gig. But
Whether we could and whether we will, I think, are two different things.
I think we could. I think we should.
Will it happen?
No.
It's more of an expense for publishers and they don't want to have to do it.
But there are so many factors at play and so many things that could influence it. There's no way I could know for sure, but I'm locking it in no.
Physical media? That means you own the thing.
We don't want that.
No.
I would hate to own something.
Yes.
Could you imagine actually owning a thing that you bought?
I'm just borrowing my games from Steam.
Yep.
Might as well just go to the library. Steam library. Doy.
Yep. They'll have physical Steam libraries.
It's going back a little bit. So, Pokemon trading...
It's related, speaking of physical things that you don't want to own anymore.
Yep.
Pokemon trading cards digitally.
It's
stupid.
Look... one of our very own, Caroline, might be slightly obsessed with collecting Pokemon cards. I don't know if you know this. They might have mentioned it once or 50 times. And personally, I'm keen to see if it will help collectors not have 5,000 cards in their house.
Yeah,
but
I can understand that.
Who knows? I mean, there's an emphasis on, I guess, the card pack opening, you know? Like,
I don't understand the appeal. Like, the point of collecting cards is to collect things.
Yes. Like, from someone that's working on a digital trading card game currently sort of idea with entirely different monetization method, I do not understand going from a physical card to a digital card and still trying to target the same audience.
Let's see. I mean, who knows? This exclusive foils.
Yeah.
Are we just going back to NFTs?
Essentially.
Oh, no.
Pokemon NFTs.
I want to move on.
I've never been like a trading card collector, but I do have a collection of items, and it would just be pictures of it. It
is just pictures, but that is what everything is, right? Just pictures.
Yeah.
What are
Physical or
games if not just a series of pictures, or sometimes a series of bacteria moving at the speed of
5 hours
bacteria
or something. Yeah.
Do we want to move on?
I think so. I think we could fight about the benefits of digital trading cards, of which there are none, for hours.
Yeah.
Look,
Unless
if it just means less space in the house being taken up by cards.
If there's a good reason to have it as a digital trading card game, which there's some mechanics in certain games online that benefit from having that digital oversight.
No, it should be.
But
It should be
Pokemon-
like Yu-Gi-Oh. It should be like Yu-Gi-Oh the anime.
Yeah.
That's what it should be like.
You know, eventually Nintendo will license the Apple Pro headset to do the Yu-Gi-Oh stuff, but...
No. Just, I mean, like, actual, like, whole stadiums. I'm talking, like, the Suncorp Stadium. We have, like, projectors.
When I said
and
we
stuff.
could go on for hours, I wasn't suggesting we
okay.
do.
Yeah, let's
Right,
move
right.
on. Let's move on.
You're listening to Z Games at 4ZZZ.
You're listening to Z Games on 4ZZZ.
Oi, mate, you're listening to Z Games at 4ZZZ.
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 Got a bit carried away.
You're listening to Z Games here on 4ZZZ.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Now, before we were just talking about some news which involved the Pokemon trading card game app being released to phone, and we got a question from Crusher. Sick. That's
Cool name.
awesome. I wish I was called Crusher. Asking, can you actually play Pokemon with the digital cards, or are they just for digital collection purposes?
What's the verdict?
Yeah,
Peter?
so after doing a little bit of research, because I have absolutely no interest in it whatsoever, it seems there is a simplified or very basic trading card game playable component within the game,
That's
as to
mostly
whether
focused
that's allowing you to play with other people or just a very simple AI. Not said yet. So it seems the game is primarily focused on opening packs and trading. So essentially NFTs for kids.
If you're a big fan of playing the game, it's probably
seems
not.
to be marketed more towards like Twitch streamers and the gambling-ish community of watching other people open packs, which has apparently become very popular and causing shortages in the trading card game.
It's a whole discussion in itself. It's it just, remember fads in school? Just like
Pogs.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, Pogs.
Yep.
Or putting like elastic bands around
Tazos.
yeah. Always good.
Speaking of things that you open up, like packs of cards, what are other things that you can open?
Did you know this is the most flawless segue of all time?
Thank you.
You can also open boxes.
What?
Which brings me to my review. Boxes.
I think they're banned now, opening
Lost
boxes.
Fragments. All right. This time, you're a thief. A master thief. The best of the best. I do not know why this place is your target, but your goal is clear. In the center of a room constructed from stone bricks, there stands a pedestal. And on that pedestal is a mask, sealed within a dome mechanism. Of course, that's barely a hiccup for you, and you have the mask in hand. Except with a deafening series of thuds from barriers sliding into place, you are sealed within this building. Now you must find a way out of here, but the only way out seems to be to move onwards and upwards. Boxes Lost Fragments is a puzzle game centered around a series of elaborate and beautiful puzzle boxes, or puzzle box-like objects, that you must solve. Once you solve a puzzle box, you are given fragments which you need in order to progress through this twisted tower full of strange and ticking mechanisms. And as you progress, you start to realize that actually, you might not want to be here at all. Boxes combines a lot of elements familiar to escape rooms and puzzle boxes, obviously. It makes use of a variety of mechanics as well as a detailed theme apparent throughout each puzzle. It also sneaks a story throughout the game to keep you on your toes and give you a sense of unease, as well as fill the boxes with a ton of secrets and surprises for you to sniff out. This fusion made me ravenous for each puzzle, fiddling with each dial and gear and doodad while I tried to find the next step in the solution, whilst also feeling like I needed to check over my shoulder every now and again. Much like a thief, I suppose. Each puzzle box has its own theme, such as the Kraken or the train, and it is delightful. It's so fun. I love the train one. You will be faced with an elaborate box-like object. You can move around it and zoom in on places for a closer look or to interact with a specific mechanism. You might find a button disguised as a diamond that pops open a tiny drawer when pressed. There could be a key in that drawer, or a small tool for another part of the puzzle box. And as you reveal each mechanism, it might be a celestial clock that needs to be set a certain way, or dials you need to adjust in a specific order. Another part of the puzzle is then revealed, pulling you deeper and deeper into this puzzle box. There is a beautiful sense of physicality to this game, where things slide along a rail with a soft slide before clicking into place, or a cupboard opens with a creak, keys twist with some weight, and although the music in this game isn't really worth mentioning, I don't think I had noticed any music really, the sound design given to the switches you flick, the tiles you flip, the slide of wood against wood makes this enormously satisfying. All of this together, combined with the fact that each box seems to almost have a story of its own, just makes this a very fun game for puzzle fans. There are a lot of different puzzles with different solutions and approaches, and although the type of puzzle might get repeated, it has its own twist, whether it's in the way it's solved or themed, so it doesn't feel repetitive. The game can give you hints or solve a puzzle for you, and that in itself is quite interesting. It's actually the mask you steal at the start that allows you to see the solution. As in, like, the player character puts it on and you can see where you need to focus on. I did skip one puzzle, and I did use a couple of hints, but as far as I can see, the game doesn't punish you for it. Speaking of hints, I didn't have to use that many because it's actually kind of easy to solve a lot of puzzles. If you just click around and keep moving things, you'll probably accidentally solve it. I'm not going to lie and say it was skill. Sometimes I would just mindlessly move things around and click until something happened. But it did make the times I did struggle a bit more satisfying. So, Boxes Lost Fragments is a fun game. It's a bit eerie at times, and the core story behind this tower did have me curious. It's a beautiful and detailed game with a lot of thought and creative thinking put into it. Although I could brute force some sections as a mix of puzzles, and it's a relatively short game, taking 3 to 7 hours depending on the kind of person you are. I hear it's 13 hours for completionists. I think it's gorgeous and definitely worth checking out.
Oh yeah, no, after checking out the visuals in this game, it is very well polished, and I'm loving the kind of bronze, gold and turquoise aesthetic that seems to be present through most of the puzzles.
Puzzle boxes being a thing is like, puzzle boxes have been around for thousands of years.
Yeah, some of them online can go for tens of thousands of dollars for some of the more complicated ones, and there's a whole subsection of YouTube and Twitch for these guys.
Yeah, as well. And they're so much fun. I very rarely get to play around with a puzzle box in person. You can slide out all sorts of bits, and it reveals another bit, and it's like, whoa, but, you know, they're not the most complicated things ever, but you get to have, like, clockwork mechanisms. Like, there was one puzzle box that was based around electricity and fuses, so you had to sort of do a whole lot of, like, you know, wiring and stuff. It was really well thought out throughout each puzzle, the theme of each puzzle, and it had me it really made it like just a very good experience for me. Yeah,
it looks like a lot of fun. It looks almost like a ASMR-esque sort of game hidden within some mechanics. Yeah, and like, especially when you were mentioning about the like sliding and clicking and things like that.
I actually think that music would have distracted from that, because it was just like, it was just me and the puzzle and just all these little doodads and I don't know, I just really enjoyed it. I'm so tickled about it. I think everyone should check it out.
Yeah.
I have a question. I am I would call myself a fool.
A fool?
A buffoon.
A buffoon?
I am not skilled in the puzzle solving department, but I do like a good puzzle. Is this game accessible for someone like me? You said there's the mask, and I imagine that would help.
So like the mask has sort of like 2 parts of it. So it can suggest a hint where it just sort of highlights an area, and you kind of keep zooming in on that area so it can specifically tell you this is what you need to focus on. And sometimes, I'll just be focused on completely the wrong part of the puzzle, and I'll be like, why isn't this happening? It's because I'm not meant to do that part yet. So that helped me get back on track. And the puzzle, the auto-solve was also pretty nicely done. You kind of got like a little moment to see it kind of all click into place, so you still got to have a little bit of that feedback. And you could honestly just like click. First of all, I don't think you're a buffoon.
No, far from it.
But I think perhaps even the silliest of clowns will be able to make their way through this game and enjoy it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I like to hear.
I mean, it seems pretty accessible sort of idea from one of the videos I've been watching while listening to your review.
Yeah. And it's just 2 buttons. Left click, right click. That's pretty much it.
I can't do that currently because my mouse is broken, but,
Oh,
I will figure it out at somehow. But it's $22 at the moment on Steam. I'm thinking of picking this one up just to, waste some time away while I'm watching YouTube and doing some other things.
Like you said, puzzle boxes can go for a lot of money.
Yeah.
Not to be like, well, get the digital version. I know we were having that conversation earlier, but this is different.
Yeah.
Digital puzzle box.
Yeah, and puzzle boxes themselves aren't the most accessible thing in real life. I don't know where the puzzle box shop is around in Brisbane.
And the joy isn't necessarily in owning them, it's solving them.
It is the solving, and that's fun. We love solving.
It's the logic and having that euphoria moment and epiphany of, that's that thing that goes in that thing.
Or just kind of like, oh, what does this do? Oh my gosh, look at what it did. Oh, what does this do?
Or in my case, just banging it until it works.
Is this something that you think you could play with someone else in the same room?
Oh, not me. Not me.
Okay. Is this something you think some people could play in a group or partner situation where you've got somebody else with you and you're working on it together?
I think like if it's someone that you could solve like a puzzle together or do an escape room together, you would have a great time solving these together, because like, sometimes it helps to have another perspective. Not for me. I hate other perspectives.
Oh, ouch.
But like, it can be a lot of fun. And sometimes, like I said, you can get stuck on a part of the puzzle, and other people can be like, hey, do you want to look over there? Different perspective. Yeah, exactly. It's a lot of fun. Definitely worth checking out.
Yeah.
Well, I think we should move on because it's getting to that time of night.
Ooh. What time of night is it?
Time to dance.
Ooh.
Do you like sports management games? Do you like visual novels? Do you like juggling a series of increasingly strange hijinks? Are you a lesbian? If you answered yes to any of the above questions, then I might have the game for you. Roller Drama is a visual novel sport management mashup by Open Lab Games that was released at the start of 2023 for Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox Series, Xbox One, iPhone, Android, and PC, so you can basically get it anywhere. I picked it up without looking too closely and was wholly unprepared for what I got. The game was not the simple sports simulator with quirky character interaction between games that I'd been expecting. Or I guess it kind of was, technically, but it didn't feel like it. There aren't many roller derby coaching games out there, but if there were, this would rank among the strangest. I still think I imagined some of the things that happened. The game follows John d'Arc Galliano, the coach of a roller derby team who finds herself navigating a series of increasingly strange situations both in and out of the arena. The gameplay is divided into 2 main segments. A visual novel-esque section set in the team's share house where players must manage emotions, solve problems, and resolve conflicts among team members. Then there's the roller derby matches, where real-time coaching is required to lead your team to victory. The strength of roller drama lies in its visual novel segments, where players must balance earning the trust and respect of their team alongside addressing the eccentricities of each character. If you think the word eccentric is an exaggeration because, oh, quirky character eccentric, consider the first quest in the game is to help one of your players obtain the corpse of her recently deceased cat from your other players so that she can taxidermy it. The taxidermied cat corpse that whispers to her then becomes a recurring fixture of the game. So, yeah. Unfortunately, roller drama falters in its roller derby gameplay sections. If you don't know the rules of roller derby, I'm not going to go into them here, partially because that'd take the remainder of my review time, but also because it's not super crucial to the game. In the developer's own words, this is not a roller derby simulator. Match gameplay is inspired by roller derby, but it then defines its own kind of game. But really quickly, the rules of roller drama are there is one team member who races ahead to score by making laps of the arena, while the rest of your team keeps the enemy out of her way and stops the enemy from scoring. You control the racing team member with your left joystick, and you control the rest of your team by issuing commands for different formations and strategies. Unfortunately, the AI isn't great. The enemy team is very one-minded and will just try to dogpile on you. I found almost all of my games ended up the same way, with a giant traffic jam. Additionally, the controls in these matches, at least on the Switch where I played it, feel really clunky. At first I thought it might just be a learning curve, but even at the end of the game I found myself struggling. Because of these issues, the roller derby matches become a repetitive slog that detracts from the better part of the game. The game did give the options to have the matches play out on their own, so you could skip past them with just a percentage chance of winning. It was a nice option when I was particularly frustrated, but it did nothing to fix my disappointment, and frankly it seems to say a lot that they had to include it as an option. If you do decide to pick up the game, I wouldn't recommend buying it on the Switch. I'm not sure it'll be better elsewhere, but I was unhappy with the way it performed on the Switch, and it really is my biggest issue with the game. But enough of the bad, let's get back to the good. Roller drama looks great. The art has a wonderfully distinct hand-drawn style. Overflowing with colours, it is vibrant and well-matched to the roller derby world. Before you progress far enough in the game to know your team, the designs give you a good grasp of their personalities and quirks. Even the sports sections that frustrated me so much look really good. You've got these little chibi avatars racing around in a colourful arena. Roller drama was a mixed experience for me. It presented a mysterious world and vibrant characters that were held back by confusing quests and clunky sports sections. And I say mysterious world because behind all the vibrant colours, the game is set in an oppressive, surveillance-based dystopia. Yeah, I didn't mention it earlier because the game doesn't really mention it that much either. I spent way too much effort trying to love roller drama, and in the end I just didn't. That doesn't mean I hated it though. Despite everything, roller drama had something that kept me playing right to the end. Maybe it was the charming characters, or the intriguing world, or maybe it was just the concept of a bunch of big women running into each other. We may never know. Close to the end of the hour here on Zed Games. It's very sad.
It is.
Always goes too quick.
It does.
It really does. Well, we still got some time to chat before we have to skedaddle.
That we do.
And I wanted to know. I'm split. We've been talking about things, and I want to know both what you guys have been playing lately, but also what you guys will be playing soon, and specifically we were talking about Dungeons and Dragons games that we're all involved in.
So we are all fans of the tabletop black hole that is D&D.
That there is always new characters, always new adventures.
So do we? Oh well, I'll just start. So currently playing a little campaign. Not a little campaign. It's actually quite in-depth, and it's got like political intrigue and mysteries, and
How long have you been going?
we've been going for in-game, we've progressed through a month of in-game time. In real life, nearly 2 years.
That's always the way.
It always is the way, but my goodness,
Time investment.
it's getting really exciting. Our parole officer, who is also like our dad, he's gone. He didn't die. Well, you know how sometimes your parole officer ends up sort of adopting you?
No.
No?
Cannot say.
Just me? Oh, okay, well. Well, he adopted us. He didn't really get a choice. He was just around. But he had to leave because we overthrew the mayor of the city, and the new mayor is less cool. So...
Sounds like every political election.
Kind of, yeah. But I'm playing like as a bird person this time. So
Nice.
I'm
An Arakocra or a Kenku?
Arakocra.
Or a bird that's been turned into a person.
Or did I say that wrong?
I don't know how to pronounce Arakocra. I just like bird
Arakocra?
person. Yes, that one. And she's a naive character who's like sheltered and everything, believes everything that she was told growing up. She's now starting to become a little bit of an anarchist, so I'm very proud of her.
Hell yeah.
Ex-Scientologist. Got it.
How about you, Maylee?
I'm playing in 2 games. I'm playing D&D, but I'm also playing some Cyberpunk Red.
Ooh.
Expanding my horizons into
Nice.
outside of Dungeons & Dragons. There are other good games out there, folks.
Yes, there are other games.
There are other ones, yeah.
I just found out that my cousin was married, and that in
real life,
my character in Cyberpunk Red, his cousin was married, and that might seem really like weird and random, but that was the biggest bombshell.
Was married, as in not anymore?
Yeah, they got divorced.
Oh, dang. Divorce
because
sucks.
he's a terrible person.
Ooh, in which case, yay, we love divorce.
No, but I love him because he's my cousin.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean,
No.
family.
Yeah.
Stuff.
It's problems. You know,
I love it when-
Cyberpunk, people do bad things.
I love it when DMs actually take your history and actually do something with it. And it does take a little bit of experience as a DM to do that, especially not a first-time DM. They're going to be focusing much more on the rules and making sure there's something interesting for everybody to happen. But, you know, as they warm up to it and they get more in-depth and spend a bit more time planning and stuff, I love that sort of stuff.
My DM is it's our first time and his first time doing Cyberpunk, but he's done a lot of D&D and he's good like that. What about you? What have you been playing?
I've finally taken up the DMD train again. I've been playing for on and off over 20 years now, but I have a group of mates that have finally succumbed to the D&D thing this year. That is like, let's try it. And they've loved it, and we're continuing on. We did a pre-made campaign with pre-characters to start with, just so they could see if they liked it. But we've created our own characters and stuff now, and mine is the babysitter of the group.
Yeah.
She has been paid or employed by someone specifically to look after these insert expletive people here. Not the cargo that they're supposed to be transporting, just the people. Yes, and so far she has managed to So far she has managed to keep them alive. It's only been a couple of sessions, but you know, we'll see.
So far so good.
Yeah.
Knock on wood. I'm knocking on wood.
But no, it's going quite well. It's interesting to have played for such a long time and still be excited when new people come on board and are experiencing it for the first time.
When they when they realize that they can kind of just sort of, when they're like, can I do this? And you're like, yes,
you can.
Like, can I also do this? And it's like, yeah, you got to roll for it though. And it's like, oh, okay, and you roll good.
Yeah.
And then they do the thing, and they're like, it's the most amazing thing.
Yeah, and I'm excited that it's a new game, and I'm not the DM.
Yeah.
Because usually if you're the most experienced person, you'll be requested to DM, so that way you kind of know what's going on and make it a good experience. But no, one of the players is just like, yeah, no, I don't want to play a character, I want to run the game. And this is their first time playing D&D as well. And it's just like...
Someone's got to DM for the first time at some point.
Andrew, you're doing a fantastic job. Good job.
Proud of you. As someone who
keep it
also
up.
started playing D&D as a DM, I'm proud of you. You're doing great.
Yeah. And it's interesting seeing them do the financial investment as well for the first time. Because it's like, the first game, it's a pre-made campaign, so all the characters are done. You don't need any of the books or any of the rules or anything, because it's all just in the one book sort of idea. And then the second session, everybody's starting to buy dice. Third session, some people have bought minis and more dice.
Has anyone bought any of the manuals yet?
Yep. Fifth session in, they've bought manuals, they're buying even more expensive ones because I know the new 5.5 is coming out, but they're wanting additional books and things for the campaigns and whatnot.
Yeah.
But we're starting to get printed mats and other things for the table and whatnot, so
we'll
it's
have
going
to
good.
check in with you in a few weeks, get an update on them.
See what's going on.
Yeah.
For now, we have to head off for the evening because we could sit here for another 3 hours.
We could, but we don't have
D&D
time.
session. Yeah.
We'll be back next week. See you later, everyone.
See ya.
See ya.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Zed Games.
If you'd like to listen to more, you can find us on the Community Radio Plus app
Or find us on socials at ZED Games AU.
See you next time.